necessary. So please welcome Hugo Pierre, a member of the National Executive of Unison, speaking in a personal capacity.
You haven't heard what I've got to say yet. Comrades, it is a real privilege to speak at this rally. And I think as a member of the Socialist Party, we all know that fighting racism is one of the key battles that the working class has to struggle to overcome. Without that, we open ourselves up for the ruling class to use divide and rule tactics against our disputes, against our struggles for the working class. Comrades, in 2014, the Tories unleashed a vicious Immigration Act. Who can forget the vans that were patrolling around the streets of our towns and cities? Go home or get arrested. Those were the vans that they had slogans on. That act introduced a 20,000 penalty for landlords, for public service providers and employers who couldn't verify the status of tenants and of employees and workers. Amongst its provisions also, it removed the rights of appeal against deportation until after you'd already been deported. Well, this was introduced by a government that was desperate to drive home their austerity agenda and also desperate to compete against UKIP on immigration policy. And who's the architect of that legislation? Yes, the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, Theresa May. But this year, her plan was exposed. It was exposed as a scandal that was used to illegally dismiss, detain, deport, and deny the rights to return of the so-called Windrush generation, a generation that was invited from Commonwealth countries to rebuild a war-torn Britain. A member I supported played a crucial role of exposing that scandal that affected an estimated 50,000 people. A scandal that led to a new Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, that's already been mentioned, resigning from her post. A scandal that led to an even newer Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, issuing apologies almost on a weekly basis for their illegal actions. And although they claim to be sorry for being caught out, how can we trust them? How can we trust them to put it right? And of course, we can't. But let's remember, they were warned publicly by 6 Labour MPs, and scandalously it was only 6, including Jeremy Corbyn, John McDonnell and Diane Abbott, that those with a legal right to remain would get caught in a Home Office driving through this act. They were also warned privately by civil servants when drafting that legislation that it would catch members of the Windrush generation, but yes, they drove on. But Michael, backed by his trade union, and others also involved and caught in that scandal, were able to expose it. And it's essential that the trade unions take it on. The trade unions must back their campaign for real justice. Yes, a real inquiry where workers can see all the decisions that were made right up to the very top. They must fight for full compensation for all the victims who lost their livelihoods, were separated from families, imprisoned in detention centres. The trade unions must also support all that need their status clarified. Only the trade unions can give that back in. We've heard stories where individuals have gone to see their MP to get advice, and the MPs have said, go and see the Home Office. Those people have ended up being deported. It's only the trade unions that can provide that advice and support for individuals. We must be demanding as well that Labour councils defy the 2014 Act in relation to this. But finally, it's only the actions by the organised working class that can cut across the divisions that the bosses try to exploit and put in front of us so that they can drive up their profits. And one of the key ways that they can do that in the first instance is by fighting and having a serious battle against the austerity measures that this government have put in place. Comrades, we will win this struggle. We will defeat the government's attempts to introduce racism into the working class, and we will fight to make sure that we remain united in our battle for a future and a better socialist society.